Hello everybody, let's have a look at Bitcoin. We'll also look at Bitcoin dominance in the Dixie. So same old recipe that we've been looking at, I suppose, for the last few weeks. So the Dixie, we'll start with that. Dixie finding rejection here at the weekly 200 exponential, which is nice to see actually, for those who care about the Dixie. We don't want the Dixie to show enormous amounts of strength, and this would be the first level of resistance that we had left on our radar. So the closure below there on the weekly was good to see, so pretty much exactly what we wanted to see, and so far we're getting a rejection from there. Again, this is just a weekly, all right? Lots can happen in a week, and we have to bear in mind that that this could just be a consolidation. We go to a daily, we can see that it looks a lot more like a consolidation on a current uptrend, and the uptrend is still in place. We've got the Chiku span, above price action, we've got the conversion baseline. So as far as this signal is concerned, the uptrend is actually still in place. So let's not get too bearish on this right now. We do have to expect further upsides and maybe a retest of this level where we were rejected from, and maybe higher, maybe up to the 95 zone. 95 being where I would imagine a top area being. And the reason we talk about the Dixie is because dollar strength often corresponds to weakness in anything pegged against it, traditional markets, commodities, and crypto. But throughout the last few, at least the last week or so, dollar's gone up and Bitcoin's gone up, so it doesn't have to be exactly that way. It's a complex combination of currencies that basically doesn't have to mean that dollar goes up, crypto goes down. It doesn't necessarily mean that. The reason we look at this, or for me personally, the reason I look at it recently, because we look at it when it's worth looking at. We don't look at it for no reason. Is that when we finally do get a significant rejection from here, it should mean only up allowed for Bitcoin. Basically, a downside on a Dixie would be more significant for an uptrend in Bitcoin than an uptrend in Dixie meaning downside in Bitcoin, if that makes sense. So I'm more interested in the rejection here to spot a potential area for a massive breakout. And I'm still looking for that on the cards. And like I say, my top targets are about 95, maybe a little higher. And if we did break above that, then yeah, we'd be up to 97 and then some. But I don't think it's got the power to do that this time round. However, over the last few weeks, I have been mentioning that even though if we do get a rejection from here, this would be the end of this particular uptrend, and we could come down to the 92 area and maybe a little lower, maybe 91.6, and see where we go from there. Maybe we can have a bounce from there, or if we break down from there, even better for obviously Bitcoin's short-term perspective. But next year, based upon the weekly and on the monthly, I do favour more upside for the Dixie. But it would only be for a period of the majority of next year, for instance, maybe only reaching up to post-pandemic levels, about 97 and maybe a little higher. And then in the grand scheme of the way that this looks, we've got a high, we've got a lower high here, we may form a lower high here, and so only down would be allowed in the long term. So a devalued dollar looks to be the most likely scenario on the long term over several years. But in the short term, we could quite easily make our way back up to post-pandemic levels before we find an actual top based on the monthly, and then we'll see where we go from there. So again, nice and boring start to this video. Before we go into Bitcoin, let's have a look at the dominance chart. So the dominance chart, again, something that I'm in favour of turning up, even if it were to just go up to 44.5%. Now I know that altcoins shouldn't be underestimated, but no altcoin is created equal, and so when we look at this chart, yeah, we might be getting a rejection here on the 10 exponential on the weekly, but a push up to 44.5, which is where our major breakdown recently was. So we had a bounce in the face of the dump, showing that Bitcoin was stronger than alts. Then a rejection on the center of the Bollinger Band, a further rejection on the center of the 20 weekly there, and then back down to our previous multi-year low, which is where we found a nice big bounce here in the bear market 2018. So this is why I'm always saying let's be cautious when we're down at these low levels, where whether you're bullish or bearish, you have to respect the support is a very significant support that has had a very strong reaction in the past, and this is a reaction that was forged in a bear market. So this basically means that holding a Bitcoin position compared to pretty much any altcoin position, you would be down significantly, but you wouldn't be 99.9% down. You'd probably only be, worst, 80% down, which is still not a good place to be. But again, there's a very big difference between 80% down and 99.9% down. But again, it doesn't have to mean that bear markets or anything like that. It's just to cover yourself, because altcoins do amplify a downtrend for Bitcoin, and and this is what we have to think about when we're down at these low levels. If we went into a bear market, you would be hurt less. If you go into a bull market or continue with the bull market, even if we were to continue with the bull market, which I think we are, it would suggest that Bitcoin might outperform the majority of altcoins in the short term, at least until we get to this level, where I probably would be expecting at least an initial rejection, but for the first time in a while, I've started to entertain the realistic possibility that we are going into a more significant uptrend. So we see that we reclaim the center of the Bollinger Band here. It looks like an accumulation type vibe, even though it's just a dominance chart. And yeah, we're at the top of the Bollinger Band now, but we're above the center of that. So it looks like this might want to turn up as well on the daily, and we'll just briefly turn it to the 4 hourly. We've got an incoming golden cross, first one of these that we've had in a little while. And this one looks more relevant than the ones we've had previously, which are formed out of big bounces. So we have to be not concerned, but respect what we see, which is that Bitcoin dominance looks like it wants to turn around. So if Bitcoin wants to break down or break out, it still looks like the better place to be in general. And again, I'm spread across the board. I'm not all out, not all in. I have plenty of altcoins, low caps, mid caps, top caps. But I do have a larger Bitcoin position than I have had in a long time, almost in almost a year really. So this is the most amount of Bitcoin that I've had, proportionate to my overall account balance than I've had since last year really. And it's not going to stay like that, so don't go calling me a Bitcoin maximalist. It's just a hedge against risk, whether it's up or down. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart. So we're coming into breaking out from the top of the accumulation zone at the moment, which is an interesting place to be breaking out from. So before we had this lower high, before we had the most recent lower high, this was the most important area to break out from, marking the end of an accumulation zone and potentially going into a breakout. And this could still be the case, right? But we do have, for what it's worth, a downtrend of resistance from here to here, and now this would be the top of the Bollinger Band and also the resistance level 51,500 or thereabouts. And if we can break out of there, then yeah, an uptrend is almost certainly going to take place. And when I say a breakout from there, I want to see a breakout, a closure, and a retest. That's what I want to see. I don't want to just see, the price going above there and everybody goes massively long and then gets wrecked because the candle didn't close and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? We want to see it over a period of days. And again, spot trading is my preference. Margin trading, yeah, sometimes, but would I want to margin trade something like this on a breakout? No, not at all. You margin trade into strength or weakness because you're taking on way more risk than you would normally do anyway. So I'm looking at this in the form of spot trading and having a larger Bitcoin position. And if this does break out from here over the next few days and we close above here properly and we do have a retest of these levels, then yeah, I think a new all-time high is relatively likely and probably will come around quite soon. We have a look at this RSI here, which isn't too much to write home about. It was bearish divergence and we are kind of still clipping the top of that area. If we see a breakout from here with the volume, we'd also see a breakout of here with the MACD and crossing above the 0 point. The money flow index looking quite high, which would mean that we would break out and probably move our way up towards the last all-time high, and maybe find a rejection from there before it finds a consolidation, and maybe a retest of maybe potentially the $49,000 to $50,000 zone. Again, this is all heavily speculative right now while we're still more or less within the accumulation zone. I know we're just poking our head above it right now, but it ranges between 48 and maybe even as high as the top of here, we could argue now, 51. So it's quite a large area when we're talking about dollar value. That's a 5.5% zone really from here to here. Not very clear because it's been quite choppy and messy recently. But I'm very much in favour of this breaking out over the next few weeks or so. But we have to respect the fact that if we do get a rejection from here, that would be yet another lower high, and then we have to see what kind of reaction we have from there. Do we come back down to just retest the top of the accumulation? Do we come down to the centre of the Bollinger Band? Do we come down to the 200 exponential or the upper range of accumulation? Or do we come back all the way down to, maybe even the bottom side of this triangle formation? So there is plenty of downside available while we're still within this range, and we have to respect that that is it's not like massively likely, but it's still in keeping with the overall analysis of where we are in the short term, which is within several formations that neither of which have really broken out. So we, if you're thinking in terms of support and resistance, then yeah, downside is actually more likely, I suppose. But you're thinking about it in the grand scheme of things, as in like weeks away, then yeah, I would say that things are looking more positive, definitely more positive. But we are still within ranges, and until we break out of those ranges, we can't really put our moon boy hats on. We have to respect that we're still within those ranges, and yeah, expect some further, pullback just in case. So again, this is for the spot traders out there, not the margin traders. However, if you've got the time and the patience and on the back foot, then there is definitely money to be made on both directions here. You just got to be ready for it. A significant rejection from here could bring us all the way down to here. That's a very large move, but also a breakout from here could just go up to all-time highs and beyond. So we are looking at large moves either way over the next few weeks. Anyway. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.